Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today I'm going to be doing a summary and my thoughts about the Live Letter 15, which just aired at E3 on June 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, in my opinion, it wasn't the best Live Letter that we've had. I feel like a lot of that comes down to the timing of it, its location at E3, as well as a plethora of technical issues that they kind of had during the stream. However, we still got a lot of questions answered, but we still have a lot of questions to go. So what you have in front of me is an unofficial live translation that was done on my stream. One of my subscribers, Signicro, said that they could do brief spot translations of it in the chat. So we gathered together at about 2,500 people. We were doing it live. There is an official Q&A that I'm going to be reading from on this screen over here that I have. And on top of that, if there's anything that I miss, I'm going to be referring to pictures and certain notes from this translation that, in case I miss anything from this, that I know is in here. So anyway, let's move on. Like I said, I have the Q&A over here. A lot of these are going to be going through pretty easily, but they started off with Frontlines information. Will it be easy to participate in? Yes, general question. It should be easy to get into PvP. For Frontlines, for those of you who don't know, Frontlines is a giant PvP zone, and you're probably wondering how big. Well, the maximum number of participants is actually going to be 72 players, 3 alliances all facing off against each other. Now, something that's not in the official translation is that if not enough people are queued into Frontlines, that the battle itself will scale down in, well, objectives and how points are attributed and how many people are actually participating. So it can actually be 8 versus 8 versus 8, 16 versus 16 versus 16, or 24 versus 24 versus 24, depending on how many people are in the queue at the time. The average Frontlines battle will only last about 30 minutes, so it's not going to be like Guild Wars 2 where they're week-long battles. So you'll be able to jump into Frontlines, do a match, and it should be good to go. Now, as you can see on this screen right here, we have a Warhorse mount that's actually going to be obtained in Frontlines, and on top of that, you're also going to be able to farm Allegan Tomestones of Soldiery in there. So if you want to do your Soldiery cap PvPing, you can actually do that in 2.3. Now, as for the objectives of Frontlines, a kill equals a point in Frontlines. So kills is part of Frontlines, but it's also more of a domination type map, where you can capture points, and when you hold these points, you generate points as well. When a team reaches the maximum number of points, that team will be declared the winner. So that is going to be the objectives. Again, maximum time limit of 30 minutes, so hopefully these matches are going to be going quick and fun. The battlegrounds that I wanted, that I've been waiting for, hopefully Frontlines can fill it in. Now, since he's on a mount in this picture, he's actually in the Frontline zone. You can mount up in there. And not only that, but you can actually change jobs while you're in Frontlines. If you decide, hey, my team needs me to be a healer, you can switch to healer over in the outpost. Now, it has to be in the outposts, but there are also no role restrictions on Frontline. So there's a complete possibility you could queue in with 24 DPS and then just be totally destroyed. So you actually can queue up as anything and then change once you're in Frontlines, which I think is great. It's definitely going to make the armory system feel more important, and it should sort of fix a problem with imbalanced PvP matches where you get queued in without enough healers or without enough DPS and things like that. Now, moving forward, we actually have a few more screenshots. They briefly spoke about Ninja, and I want to show this screenshot right here. All they did was mention that it is coming in patch 2.4, which we already knew kind of from the E3 letter on Tuesday. But this is actually the PvP gear for Ninja, which is why I'm showing it while I'm talking about Frontlines. So, looks like Batman, ninjas are Batman. That's just how I'm taking this from here. Ninjas are bats. So, if you want to be Batman, be a ninja. Now, moving on in the official Q&A, they moved on to talking about Chocobo raising. Now, we didn't get any screenshots on this, so I'm going to leave this screen up right here. Now, Chocobo raising is actually going to be a few specific things. For one, the Chocobo raising system is actually not a way of raising a baby Chocobo to a maximum growth. It's actually a way of training your current Chocobo, your companion that you have, in certain ways. Now, they kind of bounce back and forth between questions here on the official Q&A, so I'm going to be going back and forth between this and personal rooms. So that was the answer about the Chocobo raising. We move on. What is the size of your private chamber or number of private chambers? How many private chambers can you have in a free company house? And they said there's no difference based on the size of your house. Now, for those of you who don't know, personal rooms are coming in patch 2.3, which are rooms inside of a free company house. So that means that if you're not in a free company that has a house, you cannot have a personal room. Personal housing is currently planned for patch 2.38 or, just as they said, before patch 2.4. We'll see. Please look forward to it. Hi. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of breathing, guys, so you're going to see me with poor breathing patterns right here. Alright, so moving on, how many items will we be able to have? They said they don't know yet. Will we be able to place all the same types of furnishings that you could inside of a regular house? Yes, anything that was inside of your house, but outside furnishings are restricted. You cannot place outside furnishings inside of your personal house. Moving over to page 2, because there are a total of 6 pages of questions. Now, people want to know how big these personal rooms are because we can't get our own houses, and apparently it's actually slightly larger than 1 floor of a small-sized house, which I know small-sized houses aren't that big, but that's kind of good. I don't know. That may even answer the need for a small personal house. If you're not planning on buying a medium-sized personal house, then you get more room out of having a personal room. But, however, let's go over the other details before we decide if that's 100% a thing to do. Now, a few quality of life things about your personal room. You will be able to craft inside. And wow, they really skipped around the questions here quite a bit. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth between a lot of the questions here. Now, they immediately moved over to Crystal Tower in the official Q&A, and these we got some of our basic questions. Will there be a loot lockout? How easy will it be? So far, the answer is yes, there will be a loot lockout. Yes, it will be easy and accessible for everybody. The item level of the gear is actually going to be item level 100. That is what it is currently planned for, but they are still open to adjusting it before it is launched. On top of that, there is going to be an item level requirement. They're adjusting it. They said they're going to do last minute adjustment on it, but I wouldn't expect it to be very high. The first one, I believe, was item level 50 or 55. I wouldn't expect this one to be much higher if the item level is going to be 100 gear that's dropped. I'd expect it would probably be about item level 75, maybe even lower. Some other things, it's going to just drop armor again, but it's also going to drop things like unidentified Allegan tomestones, Sands of Time, and Oil of Time. However, Sands of Time and Oil of Time, as well as the Tombstone, are not going to be available right from the get-go. They are going to be added gradually across patches between 2.3 and 2.4. So basically, when it starts, we may just be able to get armor, maybe even an unidentified Allegan Tombstone for the weapons, and then in the future, 2.35, 2.38, patches like that, we can expect to see the Oil and Sands of Time being added, with an approximate drop rate of 30%. We don't know if the Sands, Oils, and Tombstones are going to affect your weekly loot lockout. My personal opinion, it probably will. Somebody also asked if they have any plans on eventually making the Crystal Tower an open world area. They said they don't have plans for it, but man, that would be crazy if it was a giant open world dungeon, wouldn't it? So moving on, again, bouncing around with the topics a lot because it's the official Q&A and they're just sort of added when it's easy to add them. They spoke about Hildebrand a lot today too. It's still being difficult to add voiceovers. They're considering it, but it is difficult. Gilgamesh will not be appearing in the Hildebrand quest, not in the next one in patch 2.3. They also briefly mentioned Yugiri while they were talking about quests and main story missions that it's too soon to see her face. So don't expect to see it just yet. Moving on to the next page, when we get back to the Crystal Tower topic, I'll show you guys some screenshots below. In fact, I can show you right now. Wow, this is really popular. Let's dismiss that. So here's some screenshots of the Crystal Tower. The next form of the Crystal Tower is actually called the Circus Tower. I don't know how it's pronounced, if it's pronounced Circus, I'm not sure. But that was the name of what it was actually called in Final Fantasy III, so it's a good homage. It's giant, it's beautiful, and I'm very much looking forward to Crystal Tower, which I can't say the same I was in 2.1, but I'm definitely looking forward to it in patch 2.3. They spoke briefly about a few things, again, involving the main story. They are planning on doing some of the, some more side stories other than the Hildebrand quest. Things like Hildebrand's mother and his father reappearing into the story, if they have any special plans for that. Also, they do have plans for another fun and exciting battle in the patch 2.3 version of the Hildebrand quest. They also did talk about other iconic Final Fantasy beings appearing in Final Fantasy XIV, such as Gilgamesh, and they said they want to use it sparingly, but come on. They have never used the iconic characters sparingly. Have you seen some of the patches that we've gotten? Diabolos, Siren, Gilgamesh, half of the names, the Phantom Train there's a reference to in the game. There's a lot of things. So they say they're using them sparingly, but I don't quite believe them. Moving on, they mentioned an art book, and they actually showed off an art book that they're going to be releasing. So they're talking about an art book that's going to show off the multiple things that they show off in the live letter, all of the concept art that they regularly show us live during the letter. And on top of that, they showed us a catalog they're going to be coming out with sometime in the future that's going to have all of the vanity gear and housing items in it, so you can actually look, and I'm talking about a physical book, like a book like this thick, that they're going to be coming out with that has all the looks of all the items and the housing items in the game. Don't know how much it's going to cost yet. I believe somebody said the cover said 2,100 yen, but that is subject to change. Could be 20 to 25 bucks, could be more. We'll see. Moving on, a lot of miscellaneous questions getting mixed in with some of these things here. When are they going to be adding the Grand Company and Free Company ranks? They said they'll do that alongside of content that is planned for Grand Companies and Free Companies. Frontlines probably would have been a good place to do it for Grand Companies, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Bouncing back to the Chocobo questions, where and how can we raise our Chocobos? Now, this is a housing feature, and I mentioned this before. You will have to set up a pen in your, a stable actually, in your Free Company garden, and you'll be able to take care and train your Chocobo there. Now, for those of you wondering what it's actually going to do to your Chocobo, we don't have a whole lot of details yet. But specifically, people who have rank 10 Chocobos are probably wondering how they're going to train their Chocobo in such a way. And it seems that you'll actually be able to break the cap of rank 10 on your Chocobo if they're already capped. So you can reach, rank 11, rank 12, rank 13, etc. And that through this method, if you so desire it to, you can actually unlock every single ability for your Chocobo on the same companion. So you can have all 3 trees maxed out at 10 points each. On top of that, Chocobo respecs are coming in patch 2.3, so those of you who didn't like your decision so far, don't feel so bad, you'll be able to change them in patch 2.3. Now, on top of that, they also mentioned that you are going to be able to change the color of your Chocobo in the future. It is strictly a cosmetic change, and it does not affect their powers. I guess they wanted to differentiate that, since sometimes blue Chocobos could run over water in other games, and white Chocobos could move anywhere, black Chocobos could fly or run over mountains. They really wanted to make sure that there was no confusion about that. Again, bouncing back and forth, new Beast Tribe quests in patch 2.3. We actually won't be getting any new Beast Tribe quests in patch 2.3, but in patch 2.35, we will be getting the Ixali Beastmen quest. Now, you're probably wondering, is it just another bunch of the same quests? They say these are different from the ones that we've had so far, significantly so, and that there's even going to be crafting dailies that come from the Ixali Beastmen. So those of you crafters out there who are looking for a little bit more content or reason to use your crafters, well, the Ixali Beast Tribe quest just might be what you were looking for. Bouncing back over to Frontlines, I'm already on question 28, and I've been mixing and matching them myself. Moving over to question number 28, will NPCs or monsters be participating in Frontlines? And that there will be enemies in the area, but they aren't a main focus or anything, and they won't affect the battle that much. Moving on, question 29 actually is on the next page, and I'm going to come back to this part of the reveal that they did right after question 28. It's actually quite important, the details that we're going to be going over. Yeah, so I already mentioned, if you don't have a Free Company house, you can't participate in Chocobo stables. However, one thing I forgot to mention is in the future, if you don't have a Free Company house and you still want to participate in Chocobo raising, you will actually be able to access certain features through Chocobo porters, which, for those of you who don't know, are basically little travel points between cities and between small camps where you can take a Chocobo and see the sights as you walk through for a very cheap price. Of course, because it's only going to affect your single companion, it's only going to affect your single companion. You're not going to be able to raise another Chocobo other than your companion that you currently have. In the future, you will be able to raise more though, so please look forward to it. Hi. Now, moving on, we bounce back and forth again over to the private housing chambers. Now, one big question with those: price. They don't know quite yet, but they're guesstimating about 300k. 300k, in my opinion, not so bad, considering that the room itself is smaller than the single floor of the small-sized house. Obviously, small-sized houses have basements now, so it's not as big, technically, as the house, but it still is a pretty sizable amount of room, considering that it's just a room inside your Free Company house. So it's looking like 300k. It's also not certain if it's just a one-time fee for the Free Company, or if each individual player is going to have to put in 300k. For now, take it with a grain of salt. We're going to need some clarification on that in the future. It says that for unlocking private chambers, it's 300k total though. So for all we know, it could be for your entire Free Company. Now, where will you enter your private chambers? There will be a door on the first floor of your house in patch 2.3, and there's even going to be a window in your private chamber so you can see outside. Now, unfortunately, if you leave your Free Company, currently they have it set up in the same way they have the housing set up, where if you are in a Free Company and you want to leave and you have a private room, you actually need to forfeit your private room before moving on to the next Free Company. And you basically will have to redo your entire room when you get there. This is additionally leading to people to believe that each Free Company has to lay down a flat 300k to unlock private rooms for all of their members, especially considering that it's an unlimited amount in size. It's really hard to tell. Hopefully we won't have to pay 300k if we leave our Free Company and want to go to another one and we need to completely redo our room from scratch. We'll just have to look forward to some more information on this one in the future. Now, bouncing back to Crystal Tower, there's one detail that I left out. Again, guys, I'm reading these directly off the official Q&A, and they are jumbled all over the place, probably due to the technical issues that they had. And they mentioned pre-made alliances again, and they said we won't have them in 2.3. Now, I know this is something we've been waiting for since patch 2.1, and this was one of the more disappointing things to be said in the live letter. They actually said they are in the current makings of making massive changes to the way the Duty Finder works, especially because of the way Frontlines is, and that they are planning to have it done in patch 2.35, but let's be honest, they've been saying that since 2.05, that they were going to have it done soon. So take it with a grain of salt. Still no pre-made alliances, hopefully sometime soon. So moving forward, I'm going to have to jump ahead a page. We're actually getting pretty close to done, only about 10 questions left, and some of these are actually going to be ones that I've already said. Will more Crystal Tower characters be making an appearance? Yes, obviously they will be. We have so many characters left in that in the poster still. They said they're going to have the new special battle for the Hildebrand quest line. Are there going to be new side story quests? Yes. Now they're talking about the stories between Hildebrand's father and mother, which we already went over before. This was an interesting miscellaneous question. Can you make it so ability cooldowns are reset when you retry a dungeon after wiping? And they said it's not something we can decide on the spot, but we'll discuss it. Basically, it's just no. They have no plans for it. They never even considered it. But I guess they could look into it, and it would be nice. But I wouldn't hold your breath on this one for any time soon. Another thing to clear up, another miscellaneous question, if you use a file of Fantasia, will anything happen with your marriage? And they said no, because it's, you know, free of race, gender, and age, that it doesn't matter at all. Just go wild with your Fantasias if you want to. They also asked about 4-man or smaller content, smaller light party content in the future for endgame. And they mean like raids like Binding Coil difficulty 4-mans and solo dungeons and things like that. And they said they're not focusing on it right now. They're actually focusing on some solo dungeons as well, but that in the future they may be able to put some development power into endgame 4-man content. Another quality of life thing, they'll finally be adding high-level accessory recipes that are higher than item level 70, and on top of that, patch 2.3 is going to be released Tuesday, July 8th, not Tuesday, Tuesday, July 8th. And that the patch notes are going to go live on Monday, July 7th. It's later than we all anticipated, and it kind of throws off our predictions for when 2.4 is going to be coming out, when Rogue and Ninja are going to be joining the game. However, considering how good the news was over this week, I'm actually not too disappointed at the release date. I'm still working on my Novus, still working on my sightseeing log, so I still have plenty of things to do while I'm waiting for July 8th. And that was it for the official Q&A. Be sure to check in the description below. Also, I want to show off just one last screenshot that we have here of Ramuh looking down at the party. That they also did briefly show off Ramuh's battlefield. An interesting thing, Yoshi-P walked up to Ramuh, you know, aggroed him. There's water in the arena of the striking tree, and Yoshi-P was standing in the water, immediately took 4,000 damage. So, it's going to be an interesting battle. It looks like the arena itself is going to be our enemy, similar to the way it was in Titan, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to fall off. Not saying we can't yet, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to Frontlines. It looks a lot more fun now. I was like, okay, yeah, it'll be alright, but now it looks a lot better. Crystal Tower is looking amazing. You really have to see the footage that they put out for that. We got Rogue and Ninja in 2.4. We're going to have new ways to farm soldiery, mythology. We're going to have our daily hunts, our mob hunts, that are very similar to Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XII's Mark and Notorious Monster system. I'm very much looking forward to patch 2.3 to give me stuff to do on a daily basis. What do you guys think? Well, before you tell me what you guys think, one final announcement. They gave us dates for the fan festival. It is actually going to be, I believe, October 18th and 19th in Las Vegas for North America. It is going to be in London on October 25th, one day for Europe. And it is going to be in Tokyo from December 20th to the 21st in, well, Japan. And tickets haven't gone on sale yet, but if you want to start grabbing up your hotel rooms, well, that might be an idea to go now. I wouldn't do it until you get the tickets, though. You just never know what can happen. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought about this E3 for Final Fantasy XIV in the description of the video, in the comments of the video below, excuse me. All the information you need is in the description of the video, so if you missed anything or you want to read up on it, I will make sure to post all those links in the description below. Again, thank you, Sig, for translating in my live stream. Thank you, everyone that came by the live stream to actually participate. 2,500 viewers. It was great. Sorry we had to leave sub mode on to keep Sig's chat you know, able to be seen, but it's just what needed to be done. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.